Welcome to today's webinar. This is a Trustpilot and Sales Cycle webinar. Today's topic is, are your customers the secret to more conversions? So what we're going to explore today is best practice in engaging with your customers through social media and online reviews to help drive awareness, interest, and in fact engagement throughout the whole customer experience cycle. And to do that, we're going to explore case studies and examples that we've become aware of from Trustpilot and Sales Cycle's customers.
Yeah, great.
So I'm Peter Simpson, Head of Partnerships and Trustpilot, and I'm joined today by Jack Ford.
Yeah, hi there. So I'm Head of Marketing at Sales Cycle, and I think I'll kick us off in the first stage of the customer journey that you talked about, Peter. So yes, we're going to look at awareness and really how you can use your existing customers to convert those unaware prospects, if you like, into interested and engaged potential customers. So we're going to look at how you can drive people to your homepage. Is it a specific campaign landing page? Or maybe you can do things with your customers to help improve paid advertising click-through rates. So I'm going to talk about lookalikes. And despite will.i.am looking eerily like that shed, I don't actually mean that. I mean using AdWords, Facebook and Twitter. In AdWords you can create remarketing lists, so that's people that have visited your website, and from those lists you can create a similar audience, so it looks at those traits and behaviours of your visitors and creates another audience that shares those same items. To make it even more targeted to be just from your customers, you could maybe target customer login pages, or potentially there's a technical help section, places where your customers are going to be visiting. You can also use a customer match function for YouTube and Gmail ads. So this is a little bit simpler. You can basically upload a list of your customers. They then generate a very similar lookalike audience, again based on online behaviours and traits, and you can serve these ads via YouTube and Gmail to those people that look just like your customers. This is really similar in Facebook as well. So on the ad platform you can upload a list of your customers, and again it produces this lookalike audience. Twitter's, wow. Yeah, it was really good. Facebook, really good for targeting. Twitter, you can, it's slightly more involved, but using followers, interests and behaviours, you can start to really get those targeting to people that look like your customers. So you could target, for example, people that look like your followers, which is a really good indicator of customers, or at least very engaged prospects. So yeah, there's that top of funnel content really is from those three platforms.
Excellent. So thanks for that, Jack. And so on the Trustpilot side, we wanted to share an overview of Purple Bricks as a way of just showing how brands can engage with their customers using online reviews, as a way to achieve their marketing goals. So Purple Bricks have been around for a little while now, but if we go back to 2015, they're actually voted #1 startup by Startups magazine, and they're really one of the first breakthrough online estate agents. Their marketing challenge was, how could they prove that they were trusted? Because obviously they were very new, and the concept of an online estate agent was also very new.
Yeah, pretty scary, I suppose, that kind of purchase.
Very
online.
Scary for people, yes, exactly. So, and they're obviously very familiar, if not necessarily happy, with established estate agents. So they. Their marketing goal really was to build a trusted reputation through every marketing channel, so they could minimise customers' doubt and sponsor engagement, etc. So Purple Bricks engaged with Trustpilot, and the first step we took with them to build that trusted reputation was to start collecting reviews. So for businesses that haven't collected reviews proactively before, many are surprised how quickly that can actually be done, especially depending on the level of response that you get. So typically Trustpilot gets around 14% response rate on invitations that we send out to customers of our clients. With Purple Bricks that was actually even higher, because you might imagine buying a house is quite an emotive purchase.
Just done that myself, just bought a house, and there's all kinds of cracks and nooks and crannies that are kind of appearing 2 months down the line. So definitely emotional. I can agree with that.
Indeed, indeed. So I'm sure you left some feedback about that experience. So back to Purple Bricks. So in June 2014. We got going with them, and within a month we'd gathered 3,500 reviews. I think they were very pleased that 86% of those were a 5-star. So this was really backing up their proposition and letting people know that actually it was a good service that should be looked at by the greater population. So how they then started the next step was really then how do we help them get found better and people find this good service. So through Trustpilot's review partnership with Google, we shared those reviews with Google, and what that starts to create is Google seller ratings. In fact, anything over 150 that starts to feed through.
Right.
And so when people in their paid ads, this then helps boost them up the list and also improves their click-through rate.
Yeah.
In fact, Purple Bricks saw an improvement of 39% once those Google seller ratings started coming through, which obviously was very substantial in generating their awareness.
Great example of those conversions from your existing customers straight away, isn't it?
Exactly. And also in terms of awareness and being found, Trustpilot.com, with all of that content going through, was coming up very highly in organic results. So what we were seeing was back then, people were searching for Purple Bricks reviews something like 2,500 times a month. So obviously this was creating a lot of traffic. In fact, we were seeing something around like 235,000 impressions were coming through. And what they also employed with us was a technique with Google called rich snippets.
Right.
So this is where they're, as you can see from the slide, enabling a short amount of text about the reviews to be put into organic results as well as the page results, which again all helps with click-through rate, etc. So I think at that time, it may be better now, they were benefiting from something like a 1.55 click-through rate. So that's over 3,500 customers a month were coming to Purple Bricks landing pages and websites from Trustpilot and organic search, etc. So this is obviously massive improvement and impact on awareness, as well as obviously reassuring customers with the online reputation. So to do that, once you've captured that awareness, you obviously then need to help convert people once they're on your sites. So as you can see from the slide, on their landing pages, and we'll talk later about the website, they would also then be listing the reviews so people could explore those and obviously be reassured by the 5 out of 5 rating that they were getting. So we've explored the gathering of the reviews, using this to create awareness through Google, etc., and then amplifying that on your own site. But obviously, in terms of awareness, what Purple Bricks also did was invest quite a lot in above-the-line advertising and also social media. So what they wanted was that wherever consumers would go, they would be reassured, whether it was on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So what they did was start to channel all the reviews they were gathering from Trustpilot into their Facebook page, and also then share particular reviews out through Twitter and LinkedIn, etc.
Wow.
So really providing that whole wrapper of awareness for consumers. And then the last area was above the line advertising. And so we'll shortly just play you, here's an example of one of the ads we've probably all seen.
I love
to remind everyone.
Hello! Mr. Wiggles is a little bit grumpy today. He's just found out about Purple Bricks. A proper estate agent, real people, and they don't charge commission. Do they, Mr. Wiggles? How silly of you, Mr. Wiggles. How stupid. Stupid, stupid.
Ah, commisery. When you spent thousands on commission but got nothing more for your money, save yourself from commisery at purplebricks.co.uk.
So, just to go back to Purple Bricks a second. So, Toby Russell's their CMO. Again, when you're spending a lot of money on your advertising, you want to make sure the message is correct. but they also, not only with a great creative there, but they did, highlight again the online reputation by putting the Trustpilot score clearly in the advert. And the reason they did that, as Toby said himself, was getting our customers to speak about our brand on a third-party platform is far more valuable than us trying to say it ourselves.
Yeah.
And so Purple Bricks and Toby were one of many customers we see now at Trustpilot using their Trustpilot scores in above-the-line advertising. And I think most of marketeers at the time were doing this just instinctively. They thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. As
we talked about with social media, etc., just amplifying this positive online reputation that they'd gathered. But actually recently we did some research to try and back this up with some statistics. So we'll be doing sharing more about this soon, but just some sneak facts out of the early research we've done here. We sponsored London Research, an independent research agency, to do a consumer survey of the impact of having trust scores and reviews in advertising. And we were very sort of pleasantly surprised to hear that from the research, 76% of consumers agree that a good Trustpilot score makes them more likely to trust the brand.
Yeah. Which
we kind of instinctively thought was the case, but it's great to see that backed up by research. Moreover, 72% agree that a good Trustpilot score makes them more likely to buy from a brand, which is even more impactful.
Yeah, it's really key to those conversions.
Absolutely, all the way through. And conversely, 54% consumers said they were more unlikely to buy something from a brand that had a poor Trustpilot rating. So very interesting, I think, for Trustpilot customers and brands in general.
Yeah, it really pays to manage that reputation and fix any issues that might be going wrong, I guess.
Indeed. So I think we talked about how reviews can help create awareness, but obviously once you've got people on site, there are other techniques you can do to gather interest.
Yeah, we've kind of covered off that awareness side, like you said, Peter. And what we're going to look at now is examples of brands that are using their customers to convert those interested browsers into buyers and making them their next customers. So I think, Peter, this is kind of another really great example from one of Trustpilot's clients.
Yeah, this is Staples, a large client of ours. It's a good example of how they're maximising the use of Trustpilot there, as you can see. And this is all about reinforcing that online reputation when people are looking to buy. The typical conversion rates we see with and without reviews on site, we do A/B testing with our customers, and we see something like between a 30 and 50% improvement in conversion when those reviews are on there.
You can't really argue with those kind of stats.
No, indeed, it's very strong. In fact, we have an A/B testing tool in our product just to help customers be able to prove that to themselves. This stat is also backed up by others. Rivervale, increased their conversion rate by 32% by having reviews on their homepage. And in another sector, in the mortgage broking market, a client called Just Mortgage Brokers saw a 57% increase in conversion. So yes, it does have a massive impact, because I think online shoppers are looking for that kind of reassurance from other people.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head with reassurance there. You don't want to be the first one making a mistake. If people have gone there and kind of had a really good experience, then you're going to be in safe hands. So this one, actually, this is an example from a company called ModCloth, and in the fashion industry, kind of getting the right fit is key. I mean, that's probably the number one reason why people send things back. And so they've kind of mixed customer reviews with kind of, richer customer information. So as well as kind of really highlighting the review score with the stars and the text, it kind of also highlights the size and height of their customers. So when you're buying and looking at an item, you can tell if someone that really liked it and says it's a good fit is of a similar size to you. So it's really kind of getting that, it's almost like user-generated content, really. It's taking that customer data, that customer information, and serving it out to your web visitors to make sure they've got all the information they need to convert, really.
It's just all about people like you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next example is actually we talk mainly at Trustpilot around service reviews, as in reviews about businesses themselves, which is what we have on Trustpilot. We also do gather reviews on products as well themselves, which are then hosted on our clients' site. So this is just an example again of the increase in conversion on page, on site, when you have additional reviews on there. So this is an example of a retailer where they're adding product reviews in, and in this case, they saw a 48% increase in conversion, again, by listing product reviews at the appropriate pace in the page. So just an example of how customer feedback and reviews and engagement can help drive conversion.
Again, another kind of really solid number that you just kind of can't argue with the results on the back of that. So we're also going to look at here is kind of a bit of a modern twist on the best sellers. And it's kind of around kind of scarcity, social proof, kind of people not wanting to miss out on a purchase. So we're going to look at kind of 4 examples here. The first one I want to talk about is a company called Jack Threads, and they've kind of got a bit of a social proof nudge, I suppose, going on, and they're kind of highlighting the glasses that are back in stock. So that says to the shopper that okay, they've been out of stock because they were really popular, I better get them while they're back in stock. It's kind of that social proof that they've flown off the shelf the first time round, I need to be quick about it this time round. I mean, anyone that's been on booking.com, you can't really move for these kind of notifications, and they prove very effective. So you've got things...
So this is so many people are looking at this.
Exactly, you get notifications of people have booked in the last hour, there's only one room left, and
3 people looking.
Exactly, you're kind of getting that. And they also add in, when you're looking at really kind of busy dates for an area, kind of says how many rooms have been taken up already. So again, it's giving you that urgency. It's like, oh right, okay, 75% of rooms are gone, I don't have much time to think about that.
The price could go up.
Exactly, it really drives that urgency and drives those conversions a bit quicker. The next example, these are actually a sales cycle client, Swiss Air. So this is as someone has kind of seen what flight they're gonna book, and they've added it to kind of their basket. I guess with airlines, you tend to do that to see kind of all the fees that are included. But as they go to exit without booking, Swiss Air kind of serves this kind of pretty in-your-face message, and kind of really highlights how many other people are looking at that flight. So with flights, as with hotel rooms, there's only a certain number of seats on the plane. So if lots of other people are looking at it, you're not necessarily going to be able to book it tomorrow. So that's kind of a real big urgency message, and keeps people on site to book there and then. And then the last example I want to talk about here is from Etsy, as well as kind of providing all kinds of crafty and really unique gifts. They're not afraid of kind of pushing that urgency message, and they kind of have the popular right now. I guess it's a bit of an angle on trending. This popular right now section, kind of front and center on their homepage, kind of really guides visitors to, okay, well if these are being bought, that must be quite trendy. Again, it's that social proof, kind of links back in with that first example. If other people are doing it, it must be good.
People like me buying.
Exactly, so those kind of 4 examples of how, I guess, you could reduce kind of cart abandonment, you could increase conversion rates with those kind of that customer information
techniques. Thanks, Jack. That's really interesting. And actually, on the review side, again, customers experiment with where they put our trust boxes. Again, for right at the top, obviously, when people are first looking at, but also all through the journey as well. And so we've got an example here of Silverheart, who placed trust boxes, further down the journey to try and prevent abandonment. So in this case, they actually saw a 25% decrease in abandonment by adding in a trust box at this stage of the journey, which is obviously pretty significant. So again, customers are always experimenting with where they can put trust boxes, through the cycle to create interest and obviously keep them all the way through. And again, we've got the A/B testing that can help that. In fact, you don't need that many positive reviews to really make a substantial difference in terms of trust. So I think what we found is you only need between 2 and 6 positive reviews for most consumers to actually start trusting a brand, which is obviously quite interesting.
Okay, so they just need that little, that little bit of validation.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess while we're kind of talking about that kind of cart abandonment side, so we've done some research recently, and in Q4 of 2017, the average abandonment rate was around 77%. So that's kind of 3/4 of people that are adding items to their cart are not going through with booking. So there's a lot of kind of potential customers slipping through the net there. And this example is from a mutual client of both of ours, Great Value Vacations, and they include their Trustpilot scores in their cart abandonment emails. They kind of tested, you can see the 2 versions on the screen there, adding Trustpilot reviews to their emails, and again there's not a lot of argument with the stats that came back. So they saw average order values increase by over 8% using the Trustpilot scores in their emails. They saw conversion from open rates boosted by 14%, and from conversion rate from click was almost 25% up versus no reviews in their emails at all. So I guess again it's kind of making a lot of sense for Great Value Vacations to include these reviews that they have at the point where someone has already considered the purchase. Something, I mean, with travel particularly, you tend to have to check with another traveller, and yeah, they can. Those results there really show that kind of impact it's having.
I think once someone's gone through that level, they're very interested. But again, it's about just helping that social proof to help nudge them along.
Definitely,
making a big impact.
Like you say, they've already shown that interest. So, what other prompt can you give them to make that purchase? Absolutely,
very interesting. So I guess that takes us all the way through the cycle. But of course, social proof can obviously carry on. Post purchase as well. So one thing in the reviews world that we encourage and we see many customers embracing, of course, is that feedback it can be constructive. It's not always positive. It can sometimes be negative. But either way, we always encourage customers to respond and to listen to what their consumers are actually telling them. And to go back to Purple Bricks, one of the things that they did was actually we tag all the reviews, invitations that are sent out, so we can actually collate the feedback by local estate agent. And so they actually use this within their business as an internal KPI for the performance of their local estate agents. So for example, if there's a bad review, this can impact the estate agent's performance, and it's actually automatically flagged to the area head, who will then take personal responsibility to look into that and see if they can turn around that unhappy customer experience. So whether it's responding to all reviews, positive and negative, especially negative ones, online to show the rest of the world what you did about that situation.
The human face behind the brand.
Yeah, indeed. And then also just taking it internally, and then taking steps within your company to respond to that. You can use social feedback and customer reviews, for example, throughout your whole business, basically to improve.
That's
what we're here for.
That's a really interesting angle, to take the negative reviews to boost more conversions by fixing those problems. That's kind of something that we've kind of not touched on yet, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, again, it's one of those sort of anecdotal things, but we do often see that people look for negative reviews before they buy, because they're really just trying to look out for what's the worst in this situation, and so they often are not put off. They're more looking for how a company, how a brand has responded to negative feedback as part of their purchasing decision. So that's why it's very important that if you've taken steps to resolve the situation, let everyone know by responding.
Be nice and open with it, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Great. I think there's There's some other ways that we can also kind of use customers in the post-purchase stage to really boost yet more conversions. I think the undisputed champion of this post-purchase world has to be Amazon. They kind of really perfectly place customers also bought, and after viewing this items, customer bought and frequently bought together messages all around the product page, and even when you add things to your checkout as well. There's kind of some examples from my personal shopping history there. They just really show kind of the prompts and the nudges that they give those shoppers. And I guess the kind of the post-purchase masterstroke is when people return, or when I return to the homepage. They're really upfront and with the other items that you might be interested in. Unfortunately, this time I was doing Christmas shopping for my mother-in-law, so I don't actually want to own more sandals in size 5. And it's interesting actually, because although from a consumer point of view, it's very easy to see these cross-sell recommendations from Amazon. There's a bit of research I found from McKinsey & Company, and they estimated that Amazon generate about 35% of its revenue from its on-site and email product recommendations. That is just huge.
That is huge.
If you think about that was from 2013. I think that year they earned, it says, $74 billion in sales, and that's only kind of increased. So that slice of kind of cross-sell, those recommendations is huge.
I think we can all learn from those techniques.
Yeah, and then I guess as well as that cross-sell post-purchase, there's kind of the tried and tested referral. Tell a friend. Probably one of the oldest kind of marketing tricks and tactics to employ. So we've got some examples here that I thought would be worth showing. Kind of HelloFresh is kind of one of the most kind of successful food delivery recipe box service, and I've been a customer of these guys before, and by inviting kind of your friends to take part as well, they're giving you free food, and who doesn't like free food?
Everyone likes free food.
Uber, I don't really need to talk too much about Uber and their free ride scheme. Yep. That helped them just explode into their markets everywhere they've gone. So that was another kind of really great example of referral. Then I put this example from Nike plus Run Club, because although it's not a kind of an e-commerce purchase, they really identified that people using their app will use it more as their friends and people they know are on it, and it's kind of putting them in competition. So although kind of you're referring someone to join and invite them to join the club, the running club, they don't actually have to buy anything. It's kind of a free, no barriers to entry. It just keeps people, I guess, more engaged with that app and eventually Nike as a brand. So I thought that was kind of worth putting on there, because it's a little bit different than the first two. But it really shows that.
I think research shows that there's only one thing that's more impactful than online reviews, and that's obviously personal recommendations from a friend. Which doesn't get any better than that. So having someone referring you to a service or an app is obviously very impactful.
Yeah, totally. So I also thought it would be quite a good chance to quickly cover off kind of almost like the analytics side of things as well. So we've talked a lot about how we can use kind of customer information and customer data up front in your marketing, but actually what is your customer behaviour telling you that you can then use to kind of improve your marketing or fix a checkout issue? The first one I wanted to look at was abandonment surveys. There's a couple of examples on screen there of Virgin Atlantic and IKEA. So it's a bit of a different take on customer surveys, because these are great ways to find out why users didn't buy. So, I guess if there's an issue with in a certain region about kind of the checkout, whether the payment options aren't available for everyone, kind of it really helps brands identify what might be blocking those conversions. So that's kind of a really great kind of feedback, I say, from these people that didn't buy. These ones on screen are kind of that one-click survey, so really kind of minimal effort needed from those users, but the brand gets kind of a lot of great information back.
Yeah, indeed. Certainly on the review side, we have clients constantly downloading and looking at their reviews and the verbatim in there to look for trends and keywords. And as we talked about with the Purple Bricks example, use that internally to understand, what people are saying on a, statistically significant level. So I think, listening to your customers is also, always very important.
Yes, yeah. Then I guess the other way for analytics that I want to talk about is probably a bit more of an investment in time and resource, but you can use tools, and the one here is Hotjar, but you can record how people are kind of using your site. You can kind of produce heat maps to see what's being clicked, but equally also what's being ignored as well. There are kind of funnels that you can see as well, which pages are causing the most abandonment. Again, kind of really taking that information about how people are using your site. Again, if you looked at kind of a customer login or customer only pages, again, you're getting that customer information. And it just gives you a chance to really kind of remove any unnecessary friction in that checkout process and get people to convert. That's kind of, I guess, the end of kind of the examples, and it's just, I guess, time to go through kind of a couple of standout kind of takeaways, really. Peter, I don't know if you want to kind of kick us off with a bit of a summary.
Yeah, indeed. I think we've covered a lot of ground actually through different techniques of engaging with customers, whether it's to create awareness by collecting reviews or using customer data to do lookalikes, through to then obviously using reviews and other techniques of basket abandonment, etc., to try and keep people's interest, and then moreover, obviously, after sales, etc., learning from what people are saying and using them to advocate. I think are just all really good examples of how listening and engaging with your customers can help you stand out from the crowd, because all of these techniques we're seeing customers use. I'm not sure any of our customers are using absolutely all of these techniques. No. Obviously, works differently for some, but they're all techniques I think we've seen that have been very effective.
Yeah, totally agree. We've had a couple of questions come through, so we'll get these answered, but got an eye on the time there, so if these aren't your questions, we'll get back to you on email, or if you do have any other questions, just drop them to us on the emails on the screen. So, Peter, I think this one you'd be in a good position to answer, and might be one you get often, but John was asking, what happens if they get lots of negative reviews? I mean, you mentioned Purple Bricks. How do they what do you do if you get a negative review, I suppose? Yeah,
sure. So we obviously we collect reviews on behalf of our customers. Reviews can be left on Trustpilot organically, or we can proactively go out and gather them. What we tend to find is if you're proactively gathering reviews by sending out invitations, typically post-purchase, or after a customer service experience, if you're proactive about it and you gather a lot of reviews, and typically, as long as you're a reasonable merchant, retailer, or estate agent, etc., you will get a reasonable score. People tend to leave negative reviews, obviously, when they've had a bad experience or something's broken down, like they haven't got the delivery, etc. So what we encourage is that you're quick. We encourage people to respond at least within a day, if not within a couple of hours, so it looks like you care, and you can address the problem, whether it's the delivery or whatever happened, through that experience. And then, if need be, obviously then follow that up through customer service. The number of negative reviews really is a function of the number of reviews that you have. So, and obviously that will be borne out in your trust score. So if you're gathering thousands and thousands of reviews, you might be getting hundreds of negative reviews. But as long as it's as a proportion, it's reasonably low, sort of 5 to 10 to 15%, then your overall score will still be positive, 4 out of 5, etc. So So that, I think, will still give you a good online reputation. It's then about responding to the negative reviews, listening to those negative reviews, and following them up, in person as appropriate. So negative reviews aren't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
They're just feedback. They're just being aired in public, so you need to be able to be seen to acting and responding in public.
Yeah, I guess, make a good point. You need to be able to listen and react in a way that kind of shows that you're taking that on board, and a good opportunity to fix something, I suppose.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously we would obviously encourage customers and consumers to leave feedback through a review. It's a slightly more structured response mechanism than, say, something like Twitter,
yes.
which can very quickly turn into a bit of an argument because other people chip in, etc. Whereas with a review, it is really between you and the person that's had your service.
Great.
I've got a question here for you around the live trends feature and example, and the example you have from Swissair, which is really interesting. Just someone's curious as to, if no one's looking at a particular flight at a particular moment in time, what does that then show on the page?
Yeah, well, it definitely doesn't show 0 people. Can actually kind of trigger that message at a certain threshold.
Right.
So it will only really kind of show that that urgency kind of message, or that other people are looking at this flight, if it gets above a certain amount, and that can be set by our clients like Swissair, or we can kind of advise on that. So it would switch back to a default message, which again kind of suits on a client's basis. But it's one that we get asked quite a lot, because it is a cool information to show those live trends, but only when there is other people looking at the product.
Okay.
But great.
So when you've got a reasonable number, it will start to
exactly. When it's something that could really push that conversion over the edge, that's kind of when we do it.
Okay, that's wonderful. I think we're pushing it on time. Yeah,
conscious people probably got other things booked in. But thanks for your questions. We'll get back to you on email. So our email's on the screen if you do have any questions after the event. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Great.